Hi there, my name is Teresa Engelhardt, and I'd like to welcome you to 2025, a new year, and the Unreasonably Grateful podcast. I'm actually still in 2024, recording for 2025, and I'm going to make an effort to do a little shift and to change up some things. So, first of all, I'm grateful that you're here. The purpose of this podcast is to create a connection with people who are growing personally, perhaps healing in some version of what we might call recovery, or just learning how to be a better communicator and be exposed to some wisdom and tips and tools that have come out of my personal 39-year journey of recovery. And perhaps you can hear something that takes you to the next step and guides you along your way. I believe that we're all in this soup together and learning how to be more unconditionally loving. And so the opportunity to hold hands and gather together for a few minutes every week and just remind one another of what's possible for us and how we can be the best version of ourselves. I think that there's so much negativity in just day to day life, press, the internet, social media. People get caught in comparison, and our self-judgment can take us out sometimes. And I know a lot of people end up feeling depressed or on some kind of pharmaceutical, and they're working on being healthier and happier. So if that's you, welcome. Grateful that you're here. So this is a bit of a continuation. The last episode of 2024 was about what are we leaving behind and what are we taking with us. And I want to talk a little bit about how do we create new patterns, new habits, new ways of being. One thing I want to remind you of, it's much easier to replace a pattern or a habit than it is to just stop an old one. That's the reason why I asked, what are you leaving behind and what are you taking with you? Because if you do that work, if you look to see what's the underlying issue of what you're leaving behind, and then you look at what inspires you in moving forward, then you want to create what are some actions, what are some thoughts, what are some words that you can attach to what you're taking with you that can fill the void of what you've left behind. So in my case, it was mistrust, like the core wound underneath all of the issues that I've dealt with in my life is some version of broken trust, mistrust. And I can see where that is. I can trace it back to early years in my life. So trusting, you have to look at what are you trusting? And for me, in this case, I'm trusting God. I'm trusting unconditional love. I'm trusting the nudges I get, the insights, the whispers I hear. So how do I do that? How do I keep that in existence where I've had mistrust as kind of an undercurrent in my life? So one of the things I do is I recognize what are the triggers? What are the triggers that have me not trust, that have me either hold back in what I say or do it myself rather than rely on someone else? Or, hmm, yeah, what is it that has me mistrust? So I look for what those triggers are. And then I look at what can I create as a stimulus to trusting unconditional love, to trusting the guidance of God, to trusting, to trusting the inspiration and the actions and the words and the thoughts and all of that that lead me down that path of being more receptive to unconditional love, expressing more unconditional love. How can I keep that in existence, knowing that the underlying issue in my life is mistrust, even though I've set that aside and I said, that's what I'm leaving behind, but I'm replacing it with unconditional love, trusting the impetus, the inspiration of being unconditionally loving. So I create my own, like, how can I keep that in existence? So I'm going to share with you how I do it and see if that gives you any support in whatever it was you were leaving behind and what you're creating going forward. So, one of the things that I do is I know for myself, I need to be rested, I need to be nourished, I need to slow down. Like, I'll give you an example. I'll just give you a quick example. I milk cows. I'm a cheesemaker. I'm a dairy maker. And there's a cow, one of the cows we have, Bessie, and Bessie licks every drop of grain out of the trough before she leaves the milk room. And she'll lick when there is no grain, she'll lick just the wood of the trough. And if I get impatient and try to move her along faster, I get frustrated, I get irritated. It kind of wrecks my moment. And I know that. And so sometimes I even talk to myself and I just say, okay, great. I'm just not going to go. I'm not going to do this again. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to be patient. I'll let Bessie lick that trough until she's ready to back up because it's when she's going to back up anyway, no matter what I'm doing. And I don't enjoy pushing against her pattern to try to get her to do something when I don't really need to do that. And so sometimes I talk to myself, and that's how I keep myself like, okay, I'm not going to do that today. I'm not going there. So that's one of the ways I do it is I actually speak to myself about remembering what I'm committed to and reminding myself I'm not actually up for creating an environment where I just get frustrated or upset or disappointed or whatever it might be. So that's one thing I do. So I don't know what you're going to put in place, but I want you to think about it this week. What works for you? Um, for me, I can catch my thoughts when I'm starting to think in a way that would have me move or behave in a way that would continue to keep mistrust in place, as opposed to, whoa, hold on a second. That's actually not what I'm committed to. And then I can even ask myself, what's an action I could take, or what's something I can say, or what can I do right now that would actually move me towards experiencing being more loving or being kinder, opening up to the power of unconditional love versus whatever else I might be caught up in. So I question myself. That's another thing I do. So, what I want you to do this week is really take a look at, we don't have to hurry through this process, but really take a look at what can you put in place that would support you in replacing the old pattern, way of being, or habit with the new, what you're inspired, encouraged, and committed to with the new. How might you keep that in place and be reminded? Okay, so take that on. And then I want to close by just thanking you for being here. Thank you for sharing this podcast. I'm in a conversation exploring the possibility of perhaps moving over to Substack because people have encouraged me to do that. So, again, that's a change, and change can be challenging, which is the title of this particular episode. And so, how I meet that challenge is I just take one step at a time, the same way that you're replacing what you've left behind with what you're taking with you. It's just one step at a time. It doesn't have to happen all at once. So I'm doing that now with the possibility of exploring utilizing Substack for my newsletter and um, podcast, things like that. So we'll see. So, anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing with other people. And again, I still do offer the opportunity on Tuesday mornings to sit with you and to reflect back to you what I see and to be like that kind mirror on the wall that lets you know you're doing great, you're amazing, you're powerfully created, and you're much more than you think you are. So if that's attractive to you, you can sign up at TiercyEngelhardt.com. All right. Happy New Year. Have a beautiful week. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week right here.